On the 1st of July 1936, Salvador Dali gave a lecture at the London International Surrealist Exhibition titled Authentic Paranoiac Fantasies. He brought 2 Russian wolfhounds on leashes and wore a deep-sea diving suit to symbolize descending to the depths of the subconscious, but found it impossible to breathe inside the diving helmet. Dali nearly suffocated before his companions realized something was wrong and freed him, which the audience enjoyed immensely in the belief that it was all part of the act. An amalgamation of Australian air carriers called Australian National Airways began operations. The United Kingdom and France agreed upon how they would handle the Italian conquest of Ethiopia. They would lift the sanctions, not recognize the conquest, but also not condemn it too harshly. In Belgium, a bunch of sailors, or sailors in general, go on a strike demanding higher wages and better labor circumstances. And that is it for the facts today. Now it is the 1st of the month, so we're going to go over the entire country, see where we're at. So we're 42 days into the Hermann Göring Werke, meaning that we're going to finish them this month on the 28th. And that will be very, very nice. We are working on our final intelligence upgrade for the foreseeable future, which is the economy civilian upgrade. After that, we will be able to see other nations' focus trees, and we will have a second operative, or be able to recruit one, which will also, again, take time, of course. Research, 14 days until we finish construction 1, and in the meantime, we are also still working on improved machine tools, mechanical computing, and interwar artillery. After we finish construction 1, we'll probably do one of these. Right? So I'll probably do dispersed. We do have a nice bonus there as well, actually. We may want to use that. So, sorry, on one of these more expensive technologies instead first. Particularly fuel refining too is one that takes a very long time, usually. Yep. So we'll have to choose technology later in the month. We still don't have anything to buy except from Japan. Trade, same as always, we're just importing a little bit of rubber, and that's it. And we're importing that from Siam, aka Thailand. Then as for construction, we are still working on civilian factories, and we will continue to work on civilian factories probably for the rest of the year. Production, we are not yet at full efficiency on all our production lines, actually on none of them. But yeah, 53 guns a day, 3.4 support equipment, about 5.75 towed artillery per week, which is kind of shit, actually. Then we have 1.5 improved light tanks, which are very good tanks, actually, per day, but we still need 600. So at this rate, it's going to take 2 years to replace all our current battalions. So that's not too good. We do have 500 trucks in reserve, and we are upgrading 152 fighters still, which is going to take more like 2 years also. Yeah, a bit less. Then we do have a lot of older tanks, 151 still in the storage, but these are going to be the old weak ones, so that's not great. Currently only 151 guns. They keep it like that for now. We have Franz Halder in Army Command here, but we don't have anyone for the Navy or the Air Force yet. That's it for all those tabs, with 70 political power, 21 Navy experience, 3 Army experience currently, but we keep spending that, 11 air experience, which we are no longer gaining because we stopped air exercises. As for macro situation, of course, we are waiting for the Spanish Civil War to start, and then we can send some volunteers over there and have something more to do every day. Although it could start as late as early September, and when it starts, it will still take 2 weeks for our volunteers to arrive. Yes. By that time, I do want to upgrade my Mountaineers a little bit more, like the template itself, I mean. And I'll probably send 1 Mountaineer and either 1 Panzer or 1 Infantry. I will have to think about it when the time comes. Anyway, let's roll the time. Maybe if we're very lucky and it spawns late, we could have enough divisions that we can send 3 units, but I really, really highly doubt that. Very highly doubt that. Russia's so big. Anyway, as we roll the time here, let's have a look at the Dutch troops. Wow. So nice. We do have one motorized regiment somewhere over here, I think. Oh yeah, here. It's the SS regiment. Oh yeah. Anyway, thank you for watching and see you soon. On the 2nd of July 1936, a Thursday, the 1000th anniversary of the death of King Henry I was observed in Germany with a ceremony in Quedlinburg Abbey. Speeches made at the event depicted Hitler as the rightful successor to Henry's legacy. Henry I, Henry the Fowler, was Duke of Saxony from 912 and King of East Francia from 919 until his death in 936. As the first non-Frankish king of East Francia, he established the Ottonian dynasty of kings and emperors, and he is generally considered to be the founder of medieval Germany and the Holy Roman Empire. Alright, that's the only fact I have for you guys today, so I'm just going to go ahead and roll the time. I'm on a bit of a tight schedule today as well, so probably not going to look at too much here. Yeah, absolutely nothing happening. Night is falling on Germany. It's raining in Dresden and in Berlin. Yeah, and that was it for today. On the 3rd of July 1936, Slovak Jewish journalist Stefan Lux committed suicide in the General Assembly of the League of Nations by shooting himself in the chest. He left behind a note explaining that his act was carried out to draw attention to the plight of Jews in Germany. A 4-day riot began between strikers and replacement workers at a plant in Middletown, Ohio, and this became known as the Remington Rand Strike. 36-year-old James W. McPherson of Ogden, Utah, fell backward into a hot spring while fishing in the West Thumb Geyser Basin of Yellowstone National Park, also over here. His wife pulled him out of the hot spring, but he died from his burns the following day. Fred Perry of the United Kingdom beat Gottfried von Kram of Germany in straight sets to win the gentlemen's singles title at Wimbledon. Perry was the first Wimbledon champion to win 3 consecutive men's titles since Tony Wilding won 4 straight in 1910 to 1913. Also, the short S-23 Empire waterplane had its first flight over in Britain. And that is it for the facts today, so let's roll the time. I think at the end of today we're going to get another regiment fielded. Yeah, it's going to be that one for sure. And then it will be nothing again for a while. So yeah, that's something to think about. 30 days of fuel left. So at the end of this month we'll probably have to stop our naval drills for a little bit. But that's all good. And that is it for today, except that we still have this division to assign. So let's see, I think I'm gonna send him to Poland 1, but yeah, I'll send him to Poland 1. Where the Leuven from Abyssinia are also stationed. Very interesting. They are acclimatized to hot, not to cold. Very interesting. Anyway, that's it for me. On the 4th of July 1936, a Saturday, the League of Nations Council voted to end economic sanctions against Italy. In addition, they discussed the situation concerning Danzig, where National Socialist leader Arthur Greiser strongly opposes the League of Nations representative Sion Lester and represses the opposition. The League of Nations expresses their confidence in Leicester. The strikes in Antwerp expand and become more intense, and the first publication recognizing stress as a biological condition is published in Nature magazine. This was a paper called A Syndrome Produced by Diverse Noxious Agents, and it was written by Hans Selye. And in tennis, Helen Hull Jacobs of the United States defeated Hilde Krabinkel-Sperling of Germany to win the ladies' singles at Wimbledon. I have some trouble talking today. I also want to give a special shout out to a recent member that joined my channel, the first one ever, Extremify. Thank you very much for becoming a member of the channel. It is much appreciated. That is it for the facts today. It is now time to roll the time and see if anything happens today. We will see this unit here making his way over east to the front. We fielded this guy, the 31st Infantry Division, yesterday. Or actually, strictly speaking, it was today at 1. He's going to go join the Polish front. So that's all very nice and good. Making his way past Hamburg. I once hitchhiked from this area via Groningen to Hamburg all the way to Berlin. It was 2 years ago, actually. I live somewhere here. Not gonna say exactly where, of course. Oh, that's it for today, and see you guys on the morrow. On the 5th of July, 1936, a Sunday, 15,000 members of the French far right, opposed to the government of Léon Blum, rioted along the Champs-Élysées. About 60 civilians and 31 police officers were injured in the clashes. Over in Abyssinia, the Abyssinian government, insofar it still exists, notifies the League of Nations that a new government has formed, seated in Gore. I don't know if Gore is on the map. Don't know exactly where it is either. But I think it's somewhere in the actual area here. Don't know. And then Haile Selassie, in name of this new government, requests a loan of £10 million, and he requests the states of the League of Nations, the nations, as it were, not to recognize the annexation of Abyssinia by Italy. Those are the only facts I have for you today. So let's roll the time. See if anything happens. 29 days of fuel left. See if our dude has arrived on the front yet. Nope. He's going over here, looks like. Very nice. We're almost at 75 political power. Don't know if we can do anything with that. Don't think so. Halfway through only. Eventually we want a military industrialist guy, right? Some dude that gives military factories. Oh. We need to pause. Oh, we went 1 hour too far. Which one is the guy that gives the mill construction? Armaments war industrialist, probably. Yeah, that guy we want. Yup. On the 6th of July, 1936, a Monday, Ethiopian Minister to the United Kingdom, Workney Eshete, appealed to the British public for at least £2 million to continue the fight in Ethiopia. Meanwhile, Ethiopian guerrilla fighters attacked a railway line 30 miles from Addis Ababa. Then, the Bulgarian Prime Minister, Georgi Kyosavanov, offers the resignation of his cabinet and forms a new government. And the date for the sanctions against Italy to be lifted by the League of Nations is set to be the 15th of July. So, about 9 days from now. Let's roll the time. At the request of one of the commenters, I'm going to be changing the music more often now. This one is a little bit intense, so maybe tomorrow I'll choose a different one. But yeah, having the same music every day might not be ideal for daily videos. Especially when you watch them all linked up together. So, yeah, this is what I'm going to do about it for now. Historically, the Spanish Civil War should start in 12 days, but it's not guaranteed for us at all. Could be as late as September. Overall, not much happening today. Our newest regiment has made its way to the front. It's now building up its organization. And let's see what happens on the morrow. On the 7th of July, 1936, a Tuesday, a court-martial in Tokyo sentenced 17 leaders of the February 26th incident to death. 49 others were given prison sentences ranging from 18 months to life. The National League beat the American League 4-3 in the 4th Major League Baseball All-Star Game at National League Park in Boston, over on the East Coast. And then over in, let's see here, Over in Spain, the outcome of a referendum concerning the autonomy of the Galicia area, which is over here, is revealed to be 73% of the voters. Like 73% of voters were voting for autonomy for the area, which I don't know exactly what that means from a governance perspective, but like I know more autonomy, but I'm talking bullshit, man. I'm so hungover today. Like this is the most wrecked you've seen me probably record a video. The Netherlands played football yesterday. Oh my god. I went all out. I went completely all out. Anyway. Let's roll the time. I'm already rolling the time. Bloody wrecked. But it's fine. 1.5 tanks per day now. 2.45 fighters a week. That's really bad. We need more fighters. We do need a lot more fighters. Let's check our own intel ledger. How many planes do we have? 827. That's not a lot of planes. That's really not a lot. 200 fighters only. Oh, 1 hour too early. Anyway, yeah. You know. On the 8th of July 1936, a Wednesday, an explosion at the Royal Arsenal in Woolwich killed 5 people. I don't know exactly where Woolwich is. Maybe it's a part of London, maybe it's some other town or city. No idea. Not British enough to know this. In other British news, the British government announced that German airships would no longer be allowed to fly over Britain except in cases of emergency due to weather. The decision was made after the Hindenburg chose a course over England during a recent flight to the United States and back, drawing concerns that German officers aboard could be studying military bases and learning government secrets. That is it for the facts today. Only the English wiki is of help today. Very sad. So, let's roll the time. See if anything at all happens today. I'm gonna wager that in 10 days the Spanish Civil War is gonna start. Because I was playing a single player game for the other day just for a little bit. And I put on historical focuses. It spawned exactly on the 18th, which is the historical day that the war started. So either that's major coincidence or we're gonna be at war like 10 days from now. Well, not us. Spain is gonna be in a civil war and we're gonna send volunteers. But you know what I mean. I hope, yeah, I already have the support artillery for my mountaineers at least. Maybe I can, like, make them slightly more wide by adding one more mountaineer. That might be worth doing if we send them out. Anyway, oh. Been doing that a lot recently, that I go 1 hour too far. But it's fine. Anyway, yeah, I think it's probably worth going up to combat with 12 with the mountaineers with this 5 XP. We will only have 5 XP. Wait, let me think. If it's 9 more days now, plus 14 is 21. 0.3 times 21 is we're getting another 7 army XP. So we could do the same to another regiment. Like a Panzer regiment, for example. Because our Panzer divisions also are very low combat width. Honestly, I think I'll just make the Mountaineers 20 combat width. And then maybe the infantry as well. We'll have to see. Anyway, until then, see ya. On the 9th of July 1936, a Thursday, the 1936 North American heatwave was reported. 168 people were reported dead over the past week in the drought-stricken Midwestern United States due to blistering heat. Britain announced it was reducing its naval presence in the Mediterranean to normal proportions, reversing the build-up it embarked upon last September when tensions were rising due to the impending war in Ethiopia. That's it for the facts today. Today I wanted to have a look at the command stuff. But is this the... Where am I going to look at? Like... Alton gave me a bunch of... It should be these things, right? Yeah. Okay, yeah. That's the one that gives +1 attack. There should be one... Oh, motorization drive. Heavy tank unit design cost. Damn. Whoa. That's crazy. He only used that once? Cavalry. Uh-huh. Railway gun bombardment. Yeah, none of them are nearly as good as this one is. Motorization drive. At least for Germany. What do we have here? Division speed, coordination. Mass charge tactic. Less organization loss when below 25%. Stalingrad vibes. Training time. Reconnaissance and intelligence gain from combat. I don't know how good that is. Especially the intelligence gain, no idea. Huh. I've never looked at any of this stuff. Maybe tomorrow and the day after I'll look at Navy and Air Force. What the options are. Anyway, for now let's roll the time. I do think it's good advice by Alton to wait till we can get motorization drive going. Oh, this is Navy stuff. Because that's crazy. Tank unit design cost minus 100%. So you can just design tank units for free. What? That's crazy. That's crazy. Anyway, let's watch nightfall over Germany here and then see all the lights go on. It's raining again. Raining in Berlin. But yeah, that's mostly it, I think. On the 10th of July 1936, a Friday, Hamad ibn Isa al-Khalifa, ruler of Bahrain and richest sheikh in the world, was knighted by Edward VIII. The HMY Britannia, the favorite yacht of the late George V, was scuttled near the Isle of Wight. The king had requested shortly before his death that the yacht follow him to the grave. The French Social Party was founded, and Maryland, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and West Virginia reached their record-high temperatures. And that is it for the facts today. Let's just roll the time. Don't have much to talk about today. Oh, yeah, I was going to look at the Navy. So, 20% chance to gain attack and defense, just like with the Army. 20% chance to gain maneuvering. Seawolf trait XP gain. Okay. New admirals have a 50% chance to begin with Seawolf or Blockade Runner. Man, best of the best. I think here there was one that was supposed to be good. Refitting, modules, destroyer, flexible contracts. Maybe it was here. Positioning, bad weather. I don't remember which one it was, but I can look at the comments. Yeah, looks pretty good. Mobile warfare we have, of course. Trade interdiction. I guess we focus on submarines. But no, we don't actually. We're going to focus on... we're going to build some big ships. But usually, as Germany, I guess you would focus on submarines. Anyway, that's enough banter for today. On the 11th of July 1936, a Saturday, U.S. President Franklin D. Roosevelt formally opened the Triborough Bridge in New York. Now, this next fact is interesting because the English and the Dutch-speaking wikis don't necessarily agree with each other. The English wiki states that Austria and Germany signed an agreement in which Germany pledged to respect Austrian sovereignty, and in exchange, Austria would be favoring Germany in its policies. Now, this links to a source by Indiana University, Indiana blah blah blah. Indiana University Bloomington, but the page does not exist. The source is no longer on that website. The Dutch one doesn't have a source, but it says that they actually confirm the independence of Austria, and the states promise not to concern each other with each other's like internal politics, which is a bit different than Austria favoring Germany in their policies, right? So yeah, it's not exactly the same. Anyway, the conference concerning the Dardanelles once again hits another impasse, and in a memorandum, Arabic officials in Palestine write that only the stopping of Jewish immigration can put an end to the unrest in the area. Right? And then... oh yeah, and then the French wiki about this this whole Germany-Austria thing says that they reassert the sovereignty of Austria, and that the National Socialist movement is newly authorized, reauthorized. So that's another weird twist in the story, I guess. Anyway, something happened between Germany and Austria on that day. I may want to look it up tomorrow and see if I can find an actual source. Anyway, let's continue. Oh, I forgot to change the music today. That's fine. Oh well. Cannot wait to burn down Poland. Hey Spain, do you want to start a war? Please? No, I don't have anything I really want to look at today. Oh yeah, I was gonna look at the Air Force, I guess. Let's pause a second for that, because otherwise I'm gonna go too far again. Oh, and Special Forces, for that matter. Yeah, so we want to go into Marines, so we can get Pioneers, right? Yeah. Pioneers are pretty good. So are Rangers, I have found, when I was playing a little bit of single player the other day. Quite good. Anyway, I don't really care about the Air Force. I'll look at it some other time. 22 days of fuel left. It's starting to get critical. We have to stop those Navy exercises someday soon. At least for a while. And for every day we train, we need to basically wait like 5.5 days to get that fuel back. So it's quite a bit of fuel we're using, and we're not really producing much. Anyway, you know the drill. See you tomorrow. On the 12th of July 1936, a Sunday, Guardia de Asalto Lieutenant José Castillo was murdered by Phalangists in the streets of Madrid. 15 leaders of the February 26th incident were executed by firing squad in Tokyo. No explanation was given for why 2 others condemned to death were not shot. And I believe that's it. Yeah, that's it for today. So not many facts, so let's just roll the time, see what happens. Maybe we get lucky and a certain civil war kicks off finally. Probably not, though. Odds are no. We are starting to build up quite a bit of infantry equipment and stuff. Again, we have no shortages. Surplus of everything. We now have 168 light tanks. They are all of the old 169 now category, though, because our tank units are slowly being replaced. Let's see, for example, this one has now 160 Ausführung A and about 80, 81 each of the improved. Yeah, they all have about 80 of the improved tanks. So they're about we replaced about 1/3 of all our starting tanks so far. Yeah, pretty good. Let's see if we can put them to use soon. Although we probably won't send any tanks over here, but you know what I mean. Anyway, have a good one. On the 13th of July 1936, a Monday, Mr. Robert Arthur James Gascoigne Cecile, 5th Marquess of Salisbury, known as Viscount of Cranbourne, responded to a question in the House of Commons by saying that he understood that Heligoland was being refortified by Germany in violation of Article 115 of the Treaty of Versailles. Germany issued an official statement that same day denying rumors that Heligoland will be made a forbidden area for military reasons and that bathing establishments will be closed. I have no fucking idea what's happening here, but it's alright. Then, José Calvo Sotelo, leader of the monarchists in Spain, is murdered. And this is in response to yesterday's murder of Spanish Lieutenant José Castillo, both of them called José, conveniently. And I actually wanted to read a bit about this. I'll read you the wiki about the assassination of the guy who was killed yesterday, José Castillo. So he had been placed on a Phalangist blacklist after he was incorrectly blamed for the death of another José, but this one was José Antonio Primo de Rivera's cousin, Andrés Sáez de Heredia. So yeah. And Heredia had been killed during shootouts during the funeral procession of the civil guard civil guard officer. And I talked about this back in April because this murder happened during a military parade on April 14th. So all these murders are kind of connected. So yeah, this guy was murdered, and then in response they murdered the leader of the monarchists the day later, and that was the 13th. Anyway, that's enough about that. I have some good news. I miscalculated earlier the mean time to happen, so it cannot actually start as late as September. The Spanish Civil War is basically guaranteed to fire between now and like 5 days. So it could happen at any moment now. So, with that in mind, I'm actually going to look at my airplanes here, and I'm going to already put 2 fighter wings. They're Heinkel HE-51s. And they have a range of 631 kilometers, because I do want to make sure I send fighters with good range. But yeah, it doesn't look like I have much in the way of options anyway. I'm already going to put these as close as I can to Spain. I'm going to start moving them here to the Württemberg Air Base. And we need to have a look at our Mountaineer Division. Because I do realize, yes, these spirits are good, and then I can design free armored divisions. But I'm not going to use any armored divisions in the Spanish Civil War, and I will be able to gain a lot of XP there. So I am actually going to invest a little bit in making this Mountaineer Division slightly larger, I think. Just adding at least like one, you know, just a pure battalion. But I'll wait until tomorrow to do that, in case there are any very obvious complaints from my members of the community. For now, I'm gonna roll the time, or continue rolling the time. These airplanes should be on their way. Right, they might even arrive today. I mean, that would be a one-day flight, right? Less than one-day flight. It's just a bit across Germany. It's all good. But yeah, I'm just gonna send fighters. I think someone advised me to just send fighters to Spain. I think that's also probably the best call. We don't really need to waste our close air support because we're not even producing any. I could also consider deploying my 2nd Mountaineer Division early because, yeah, that might be a good idea. But then, obviously, he will be untrained and he will have to gather experience in the field. Anyway, all that being said, war soon. On the 14th of July 1936, a Tuesday, Bastille Day celebrations along the Champs-Élysées were marred by further riots by right-wing demonstrators. In Paris, the British government announced plans to mass-produce gas masks with the goal of 1 for every citizen. The masks would be stockpiled in centers around the city, or the country actually, and then issued free of charge when the government deemed it necessary. Those are the only 2 facts I have for you today. I didn't find a source for the real weather yet, but in Berlin right now it's kind of raining up here, but in Berlin it seems to be dry. So, okay. That's it for weather. Let's roll the time here. I don't have a lot of time today, so I'm just gonna hurry it along, not really gonna look at much. Except the weather in Madrid. It's clear, sunny. Oh, you can actually see it's clear. In Berlin, it is clear, 18 degrees Celsius. Very good. Yeah, I have decided not to extend my Mountaineers because Otten in the comments made a very good point, is that you have a limit to the amount of special forces you can have. So I'd rather just keep it at 9 per unit. I think that's better. So yeah, that's that. Oh, we completed a technology, construction 1. Very good. I didn't expect that. But let's have a look at that. I could go for dispersed here, 99 days, or I could go for construction 2 with 100% bonus ahead of time, 146 days. I think that's better because then we have more use of the bonus. And then the next time we will go for dispersed industry here. Yeah, so we'll go for construction 2. Research. 73 days until we can start dispersed, but that's fine because It's not like any of our estates are full yet, you know. What it does mostly, I think, is add more building slots. I think it might also affect efficiency, right? Yeah, it does also. We are going to get this a lot later now. But it's fine, because construction... More factories is better than better factories, I think. I think. Anyway, it's fine. Yeah. See you tomorrow. On the 15th of July 1936, a Wednesday, the average temperature in Berlin was 17.6 degrees Celsius, and there was a slight drizzle throughout the day with about 1.52 millimeters of perspiration. In-game, it seems to be dry, so that's good. Temperature is 18 degrees, which is very close. Okay. Very cool. What actually happened, though, the League of Nations finally actually lifted the sanctions against Italy. 5 died in political and labor disorders across Spain, and the government made 150 arrests. The conference about the Dardanelles comes to a decision. Turkey is allowed to remilitarize the Dardanelles Straits, and if Turkey is neutral in any given war, the Dardanelles will be closed for warships, except for certain explicit exceptions. And that's it for the facts today, so let's go ahead and roll the time. Our airplanes that we sent over here have arrived, so they're all completely ready. It does look like they have 2 different ranges for some reason. Same type. This one has an ace. Maybe that's the different... Does agility affect that? Probably. This is our only ace pilot, Booby Hartman. I think he is also a clearly historical figure. He's in some movies and shit. Yeah. It could be that the war starts today, or tomorrow, or the day after, or the day after that. But after that, it will have been... it will have begun, so yeah. Well, let's see what happens. On the 16th of July 1936, a Thursday, right? A Thursday, yes, correct. It was about 17.4 degrees Celsius on average in Berlin, with a very small amount of perspiration, a slight drizzle throughout the day. On that day, an apparent attempt to assassinate Edward VIII was foiled on Constitution Hill. As the King's horse passed the crowd while returning to Buckingham Palace from a color ceremony in Hyde Park, a man raised a revolver. A woman grabbed the man's arm and shouted, alerting a constable who knocked the weapon from his hand. The man, identified as George Andrew McMahon, told the police he had no intention of harming the king and was only making a protest. Adolf Hitler sent Edward a telegram offering his heartiest congratulations on his escape. Now, this is kind of echoing something that happened in the US just the other day, right? Like, wow, kind of crazy. Italy lifted its wartime restrictions on meat and nightlife curfews, and Father Charles Coughlin aligned himself with Francis Townsend and denounced President Roosevelt as a great betrayer and liar, saying, "He who promised to drive the money changers from the temple has built up the greatest public debt in the nation's history. Is that driving the money changers from the temple?" he asked. Wow. Then, let's see over here. Latvia. What does Latvia do? Recognizes the Italian annexation of Abyssinia. And in France, or no, not in France, but in the French wiki, it says that the Nazis made their first camp for the Roma people to collect them up, I guess. And, well, we all know what they did over there. Anyway, let's roll the time. We're actually pretty close to completing Hermann Göring work here. That's going to be exciting. Right now we have only 22 factories working on construction. That is going to explode soon when also the intelligence agency finishes, also in 13 days. Then suddenly we're going to have like 11 extra factories available. Well, not all of those are going to be actually working, of course. Because out of those 6, some will be on consumer goods, but yeah. Our dude, by the way, is working in France to make a spy network. 7% so far. Seems pretty good. And there we go. I think there's only 2 days left until this has to fire. I think. Maybe 3. On the 17th of July 1936, a Friday, it was an average temperature of 20.2 degrees in Berlin and there was no rain. It was sunny. How does that compare to the actual game? Yeah, very hot, 21 degrees. So that's almost the same, actually. Almost the same. On this day, the Spanish coup of July 1936 began. Francisco Franco and other high-ranking officers in the Spanish army launched a coup against the Second Spanish Republic. The conspirators in the Army of Africa moved to seize control of Spanish Morocco. There was a military uprising in Melilla, where Spanish rebels seized the radio station in Melilla and proclaimed martial law, and the Spanish Civil War had officially sort of begun. Apparently, although most historians, I think, claim that it started on the 18th. Then, the French Chamber of Deputies voted 484 against 85 to nationalize the munitions industry. The British government reports that Germany, despite the demilitarized status agreed upon in the Treaty of Versailles, has remilitarized and reinforced Helgoland. And the prototype of the Bloch MB-150-01 airplane is tested but does not want to go into the air. A modified version would actually be able to successfully lift off on the 4th of May 1937. Anyway, let's roll the time. Today could be the day, otherwise it's going to be tomorrow. So, yeah, here we are. Oh my god. How many guns do we have by now? We have like 1,000. We should be making more troops, I think. Let's train another infantry division. We can just add a unit here. Yeah. Hey, oh, hey, oh. Yeah, it happened. Here we go. Civil War. Okay, let's go ahead and... Oh, this is nice. Let's go ahead and deploy this other mountaineer here. Boom. We can immediately start training a new one, I suppose. But let's not do that for now, actually. Okay, so we have a mountaineer here who is not very experienced at all. So that's a bit of an issue, but it's also not too bad. Let's find our other mountaineer. Where are you? Where the hell is the other mountaineer? Oh wait, this is the other mountaineer actually. So let's add you to this army. We have one who is level 2 and one who is level 1. It's a bit annoying. Nationalist Spain. I would like to send you some volunteers. But with which general also? Ooh. Ernst Eberhard von Hell, blah blah blah. What is your stats? You are an engineer, a winter specialist, and a war hero. Well, I think we can still change the general once he arrives, so we'll have to see which one we want to grind the most. Anyway, I'm definitely going to be sending this Spanish volunteer corps. Right, so let's do send volunteers. We can send 2 Spanish volunteer corps. I want to absolutely double check. Yeah, these are the mountaineers. Okay. Spanish volunteer corps and air volunteers. Send. Let's wait until they accept. Hello. We need to wait until they accept.
eingetreten?
Okay, well, they have not accepted my actual send volunteers yet. So I guess we'll have to wait tomorrow with actually sending the airplanes over. Yeah, we cannot do that yet. Okay, well, too bad. So yeah, tomorrow we can start waiting for 2 weeks until our guys finally arrive. But yeah, soon we will actually have boots on the ground once again. This time in Spain. It's gonna be good. On the 18th of July 1936, it was hot in Berlin with an average temperature of 26.3 degrees. Yes, very, very hot. Let's see if it's also in the game. Yes, very hot it says, although 6 degrees too low. The Spanish Civil War began yesterday, so let's read some facts about that. On the 18th of July 1936, the Spanish government announced on the radio that the uprising had been contained. The Spanish uprising, in the meantime, spread to Sevilla, and in Madrid, the siege of Cuartel de la Montaña began, and Cuartel is like a barracks. So there was a 2-day siege, which marked the initial failure of the July 1936 uprising against the Second Spanish Republic in Madrid. The Free City of Danzig suspended its constitution, and Senate President Arthur Greiser ordered the move to crush opposition to the Nazi-controlled government. And at the Montreux Convention, which is the Dardanelles Convention, the signatories of the Treaty of Lausanne agreed to grant Turkey the right to remilitarize the Dardanelles. This is something that I already reported a couple days ago. And the Russian Navy was granted the right of free passage through the straits during peacetime. But during wartime, all belligerents would be prohibited from using the straits unless acting for the League of Nations or under a regional pact signed with Turkey. That's it for the facts. Let's see if they respond to our request to send volunteers. Yes, they will allow it. Good, our troops are on their way. So we will arrive on the 1st of August. So August is going to be a good month. Then we should now be able to send our 2 air wings. I prepared 2 fighter wings here. I'm going to send them right over to here. I think that's the safest place to put them for now. These other airports might be overrun. So yeah, let's see what happens here. They're all moving to the border. They have some troops training for some reason. That seems like a bad idea. Just saying. Where is the enemy? They all have such low organization. I guess that makes sense. They just started an uprising. They're not very organized yet. Damn, okay. Well, we're gonna arrive somewhere over here. I don't know what I'm gonna do with my forces yet. Let's see how far our planes got today. We're almost there. Yeah, the plane should arrive tomorrow and I should be able to put them right into action. So that's great. So yeah, war has begun. On the 19th of July 1936, a Sunday, the temperature in Berlin was an average of 20.4 degrees Celsius. Over in Spain, Santiago Casares Quiroga resigned as Prime Minister of Spain. President Manuel Azaña appointed Diego Martínez Barrio to replace him, but Barrio resigned after only 7 hours when his attempt to negotiate a compromise with the rebels was rebuffed. José Guirao became the new prime minister and decreed the formation of a militia to defend the republic. The Spanish uprising spread to Barcelona, and the sieges of the barracks or cartels of de Lojoya, Gijón, and Oviedo began. Dolores Ibarruri made a radio speech calling on Spaniards to fight against the military uprising. Her speech concluded with the famous words "No pasarán," which means they shall not pass! Which became the rallying cry of the Republicans throughout the Civil War. Ceuta and Melilla, both over in North Africa, are bombed by government troops, and the Irish journalist Jerome Bannigan is arrested after an alleged attempt to assassinate King Edward VIII. That's it for the facts today. Let's look at where our airplanes are, because that's the most interesting thing happening today. They are going to be arriving, most likely, over in La Coruña, here in Galicia. So let's see how that goes. There they go. Still have a good 12 or so days to wait until our volunteers actually arrive. Maybe even 13. Those are the first planes. Let's wait until they've both arrived. And here we go. At 6 o'clock, both our fighter wings have arrived. So let's send them into northwestern Iberia and set them to air superiority. It looks like we are so far the only airplanes in the sky. So that's good. And yeah, that's it for today. On the 20th of July 1936, a Monday, the siege of Cartel de la Montaña ended in a Republican victory. The first long-range combat airlift in history took place when several Spanish aircraft on the nationalist side transported a small number of troops from Spanish Morocco to Andalusia. This area, of course. The airlift across the Straits of Gibraltar was necessary because most of the Spanish Navy remained loyal to the government. The campaign of Guipúzcoa began, and I have to check what that is, as part of the Spanish Civil War. I currently have a second monitor attached to my laptop, so every time I go to my other screen, this happens to the map. It's a bit annoying. It's because I moved to a different apartment, and I haven't moved all my stuff yet, so it will be fixed soon. Anyway. The Montreux Convention regarding the regime of the Dardanelles Straits was finally signed and put into action. Man, this is horrible with the map. So yeah, that whole thing's over. And in an attempt to join the rebels in Spain, General José Sanjurjo crashes his plane and dies, basically. He wanted to land, he didn't. Then a number of executive orders in Danzig de facto kind of incapacitate the Danzig constitution. In a lot of Polish cities, there are protests against these measures. And the measures include that organizations spreading messages that are dangerous for the state can be dissolved, and political police efforts such as restricting the right to gather on the streets, to just print whatever you want in the paper, no longer need permission from the court, and the what would you call this? The minimum detention for like small crimes is increased from 3 weeks to 3 months. Yeah, that's finally all the facts for today. There was quite a lot of them, and I was copying all the way through, and there was distractions, and I've already been sitting here for 4 minutes. Well, the video is probably only 2 minutes at most. Anyway, our airplanes have arrived. I kind of want to see, yeah, we have green air here. No enemy planes anywhere at all, so that's really good. The only unfortunate thing is that we only have fighters who cannot really help out on the floor, on the ground. But that's alright. Our divisions are still 10 days away or more. Only 9 days left until Hermann Göringwerk finishes finally. And then we'll go straight to KDF-Wagen. Yeah. And that's it. On the 21st of July 1936, a Tuesday, the average temperature in Berlin was 18.9 degrees. Well, right now it's 1 in the morning, of course, so it's not exactly accurate, probably. Over in Toledo, the siege of the Alcazar began, and I don't know what this is. My screen is moving again. I don't know what it is. What is the Alcazar? It is a stone fortification located in the highest parts of Toledo, Spain. It's a large quadrangular building measuring 60 meters on a side, framed by 4 large towers 60 meters high. So basically it's just a big castle in Toledo. Alright, so that happened. Give me a second. Over in France, the arms industry is nationalized. 50,000 Turkish troops began moving into the Dardanelles, and the Tokyo Stock Exchange suspended trading because of a heavy slump caused by rumors that the stock exchanges would be placed under government control. That's it for the facts today. Let's roll the time and look at the front. We still cannot see any enemy troops. I think that's because our volunteers have not arrived at this point. Only 10 days of fuel left as well, 9 actually. So we should probably at this point suspend our naval exercises for a little bit. So I'm gonna take my fleet here and turn that off for a second. See what happens to my oil. Yeah, because the Air Force already is using more than we produce. So that's actually an issue. We should probably have stopped a little bit earlier. 7 days left only. Whoops. Well, we'll have to micro that a bit. Navy is still allegedly using fuel. Oh no, not anymore. Good. Let's see what happens after midnight here. Don't see any fighting going on anywhere yet. So that's interesting. I guess we'll see what happens to the fuel situation tomorrow. We consumed 338 while we produced only 206. So if every time we quit for a few days, we can send the planes out for a few days again. But yeah, this is going to be an issue probably during this war a little bit. And since there's no other planes in the air at this point, right? No enemy planes yet. Let's just stop doing anything, right? For a bit until we see enemy airplanes in the skies. We can, until such a time we can save up our fuel. Yeah, let's see how that continues. On the 22nd of July 1936, a Wednesday, the average temperature in Berlin was 19.6 degrees Celsius. It apparently is a bit warmer right now at 1 in the morning, so that's interesting. British authorities warned Spanish warships that if shells continued to fall on Gibraltar, British artillery would return fire. Over in Austria, 10,000 political prisoners with various political backgrounds are given amnesty and released from prison. And Charles Lindbergh and his wife Anne arrived in Berlin. Now, this was kind of an aviator power couple. Both of them flew airplanes and they did many exploratory flights together. In addition, Charles Lindbergh was an officer in the American Army. Although ostensibly a goodwill visit, the American embassy had invited Lindbergh in the hope that the German Air Ministry would try to impress him by inviting him to inspect their planes and air bases. That way, Lindbergh could take notes on the Luftwaffe's capabilities and report back to the US government. As it turned out, that is exactly what happened. We should have invested more in counterintelligence, guys. Oh my god. Anyway, let's roll the time here. Also, in order to fix our fuel issues here, I think I'm going to go to the trading screen, to the oil screen over here, and see if we can import some oil from somewhere. Preferably somewhere inconsequential. So it looks like Venezuela is a pretty good option. We don't want to be importing from the United States, the Soviet Union, or the United Kingdom if we can avoid it, because that will give more resources to our potential enemies. But Venezuela is resoundingly fascist, so I feel very comfortable importing oil from there. As Germany here. So let's get back to the trade screen and import some oil from Venezuela. 8 oil, that will more than double our total oil. There we go. And now our daily gain is 629, meaning we can put our airplanes back in the air immediately, because we're gaining anyway. Although I do want to check if there are any enemy planes at all present. Nope. So there's no point putting our planes in the air. So we'll just leave them on the ground for now. Yeah. Okay, so that's the fuel issue fixed. As you see, that's already really helping a lot. Oh yeah, a lot. The number just turned green, guys. Unbelievable. Only 1 week left until we have our focus complete. Unfortunately, so can I talk? Unfortunately, this is going to cost us another civ, but it is what it is. Very soon we will have more civs than we've had ever before. On the 23rd of July 1936, the average temperature in Berlin was 19.9 degrees Celsius. The game still says it's a little bit warmer. Alf Landon formally accepted the Republican nomination for president before a crowd of 80,000 people in Topeka, Kansas. If I am elected chief executive of this nation, I propose to restore our government to an efficient as well as constitutional basis, Landon declared. The nationalist side of the Spanish Civil War set up a government or junta in Burgos, up here. The first mention of the White Terror is made, and the White Terror is in the history of Spain. It describes the political repression, including executions and rapes, which were carried out by the nationalist faction during the Spanish Civil War from 1936 to 1939, as well as during the following years of the regime of General Francisco Franco. Then the French government decided to aid the Spanish Republic in the Civil War, and there was a lot of chaos over in the House of Commons in England, as 3 MPs were ejected from the House of Commons during an incident of grave disorder in the 27th hour of a marathon session. On the topic of government's unemployment assistance programs, Home Secretary John Simon spoke of the responsibility of children to support their parents when John McGovern broke in. "Why does the king not support his mother? He must be a despicable individual." The latter line was stricken from Hansard, and Hansard is the are the transcripts of the parliamentary debates in Britain, and they are named after Thomas Curzon Hansard, who lived from 1776 to 1833. He was a London printer and publisher who was the first official printer to the Parliament at Westminster. Anyway, back to the fight over in the House of Commons. George Buchanan then accused Simon of lying and refused to withdraw the charge. His colleague, Campbell Stephen, then stood and called the government robbers and murderers of the working class, and Simon he called a lying scoundrel. This latter insult was also stricken from Hansard. Following a 15-minute recess, votes were taken, and Buchanan, Stephen, and McGovern were all suspended from the House. Also, Eleanor Holm was suspended from the US Olympic swimming team for attending drinking parties while aboard the SS Manhattan, transporting the athletes to Germany. Well, that's it for the facts today. There's quite a few of them. Let's roll the time and see what happens here today. Our fuel is looking good, so that's nice. Let's keep checking the air zones here for any enemy activity. We might just not be able to see them yet, to be honest, since our actual volunteers haven't arrived yet. Still quite a wait to go. We also have almost 100 political power. I'm wondering if I can do anything with that. Probably not. We could go to war economy, but we need 50% war support for that. Or extensive conscription. I don't think so. Or one of these guys for more XP. They are all like 100 except Erwin Rummel here. We do need that guy. He's very good. 5 days until Hermann Göring. On the 24th of July 1936, the average temperature in Berlin was 22.5 degrees. Now we're colder again. Last few days the game said it was warmer than it actually was. Anyway, on this day, the Battle of Guadarrama began in Spain. This battle would last until sometime in early August and would end in a Republican victory. Eleanor Holmes' teammates arranged a petition asking American Olympic Committee Chairman Avery Brundage to reinstate her after her alcoholic adventure on the SS Manhattan, I think it was, yesterday. German officials told Brundage she has been punished enough and discipline is bound to prevail after this public warning. So I'm guessing that would end in her being reinstated and allowed to participate in the Olympics. A speaking clock service was introduced in the United Kingdom, and the French right-wing press led by L'Echo de Paris, the Echo of Paris, attacked France's policy of support for the Spanish Republic, arguing that it could lead France into open conflict with Germany and Italy. Then there was an intergovernmental panel or conference hosted by the League of Nations concerning the the legal status of German refugees, and they come to a decision, although it is not specified what decision that exactly is. That's it for the facts today. Let's roll the time. Go ahead. Our oil is cranking back up. We're currently consuming nothing because there's still no enemy air to be seen. Nothing for us to get involved with or fight. Perhaps Soviet airplanes are already on their way from Russia. There's no way for us to know. Also, I had a question about these guys. The idea behind this, I think, was that you get to spam out as many divisions as possible, as quickly as possible, and then you then swap them to infantry. But then what is the point of training them all the way up to level 1? Because when you swap them, they become recruits again. So maybe I should just deploy all of them, right? I don't know. I don't know. I would like some insight on that, if at all possible. Anyway. On the 25th of July 1936, Germany became the first country to recognize the Italian rule of Ethiopia by abolishing its legation in Addis Ababa and replacing it with a general consulate. Emilio Mola was formally designated commander of the nationalist operations in the north of Spain, while Francisco Franco took control of the southern front, I guess. The French government announced it would not be selling aircraft to Spain at this point, and the Dutch government approved several amendments to the constitution, with the exception of a proposal to restrict the freedom of the press. The average temperature in Berlin, I forgot if I already mentioned it, but it was 19.4 degrees. So let's go ahead and roll the time. Check out our logistics. 538 guns. It's pretty good. Pretty good indeed. Not much happening today. We can check the air zones again. Still don't see anything. I think it's just because our volunteers haven't arrived. Or maybe Spain just doesn't have any airplanes. Let's see. They have between 29 and 64. And they have between 38 and 57. Okay, so it's very limited. My 200 fighters are gonna dominate the air, for sure. Until the Soviet planes arrive anyway. And God knows what else. Yeah. Boots on the ground in 7 days. 6. On the 28th of July 1936, the average temperature in Berlin was 16.9 degrees. 18 degrees in game. The Burgos Junta, otherwise known as the nationalist side of the Spanish Civil War, declared total martial law in all the areas under their control. The Spanish Republic, on the other hand, confiscated all church property in their areas to consolidate its resources to fight the uprising. German aircraft arrived in Morocco to aid the nationalists, and Francisco Franco, leader of the nationalist side, granted an interview to Jay Allen of the Chicago Tribune, in which he claimed that his government was neither monarchist nor fascist, but nationalist Spanish, and that he had launched the rebellion to save Spain from communism. When asked what form his government would take, Franco stated it would be a military dictatorship with a plebiscite, which is a kind of referendum, later on for the nation to decide how to shape its future. The Lindberghs, which, if you remember, was the aviation couple from the United States that I talked about a couple days ago, met Hermann and Emmy Goering for lunch in Germany. That's it for the facts. Let's quickly roll the time because I'm very excited for what's gonna happen at the end of this day. Currently, we have 37 civilian factories in use, of which 21 are actually building something. Let's see how that changes in about 15 hours. 16, 17 hours? Wow, whatever. 17, I should have said. It's gonna be juicy. Still only Japan selling stuff. Alright, just a couple more hours. Night has fallen on Europe. Oh, fighting has begun. I can see bubbles now. That's exciting as well. And there we go. We just finished the Economy Civilian Agency, and we also finished the Hermann Göring Werke. So we now have 81 factories. If we look at construction, we now have 2 full construction lines and an extra factory as well. That is glorious. And we can also start working on our next national focus, which is going to be KDF-Wagen for even more civilian factories. We currently have 43. That's great. Is there anything we can use political power for to increase our war support? Not yet. We need 25% or 30% world tension. Oh well. Anyway, we should start pumping these out a lot faster now. So that's great to see. And we can also have a look at the national focuses of other countries, allegedly, what they took. Maybe that will take a day to kick in. It doesn't look like we can do much there. How about here? We know that they have 41 to 47 civilian factories. That's actually about the same as us. We just have 28 military factories, which they certainly do not. They do have more dockyards as well. Anyway, let's look over here. Can we see anything? No, not yet. Maybe we have to wait a day. Anyway, that's some major progress here today. On the 26th of July 1936, the average temperature in Berlin was 16.9 degrees. In game, it is still 21 degrees. The Canadian National Vimy Memorial was unveiled actually in France. Edward VIII, making his first trip abroad since becoming king, spoke at the event in a speech broadcast around the world. Adolf Hitler agreed to support the nationalist side in the Spanish Civil War by sending 26 transport planes and other equipment. Now, in game, of course, we sent 200 fighter planes and we are sending 2 volunteer divisions as well. The Comintern, meaning the Soviet Union, of course, agreed to establish international brigades to fight in Spain, on the Republican side, of course. And the Salazar government, this guy, Antonio de Oliveira Salazar, in Portugal, promised to cooperate with the nationalists, actually. So, let's roll the time. Again, probably not much that will happen today, but at least we have a lot of equipment to look at and stuff. Only 2 more days after today's video until we get to pick our next focus, which is, well, we already picked it. It's going to be KDF-Wagen for even more civilian factories. Want to bump this number up as much as possible. So that's all well and good. How's our construction going? Our next manually built civilian factory will be done in about 2 weeks as well. That's great. Very good. And we'll also unlock 5 more when we finish the economy civilian thing, also in 2 more videos. Yeah, that should be good. On the 27th of July 1936, the average temperature in Berlin was 18.2 degrees. That's pretty close to what it says in game. The siege of Cartel de La Joya in the city of San Sebastian, right to the right of Bilbao over here, I believe, ended in a Republican victory. Mussolini decided to send 12 bomber planes and other equipment to aid the nationalist side in the war, and nationalist troops from Spanish Morocco are flown over to Spain and defeat some government loyalist forces in the south of the country. It's not specified where exactly, but I presume in the area around Sevilla, Cordoba over here. Still don't see any enemy troops. Let's roll the time. The nationalists have certainly ringed the border here. Not much fighting going on. Only a matter of days now before our volunteer forces arrive. I cannot wait to get some troops moving. We have 100 political power now. We could get a theorist, but it's probably better to wait for one of the better ones. Like Heinz Guderian here. Ooh, very nice. Yeah. Very nice. Or we could switch over to war economy if we manage to get to 50 war support somehow. That would also be quite good. Alright, and in tomorrow's video we will finally finish this. On the 29th of July 1936, the average temperature in Berlin was 17.8 degrees. Let's see what it is in game. 16 degrees, so a bit over. The nationalist side of the Spanish Civil War captured Huelva. Where is that again? I think it's like here, right? It's close to Sevilla, I believe. I might be wrong. Or maybe it was in the north. I don't see it anywhere on the map. Anyway, the Berliner Tageblatt, the Berlin daily newspaper, I guess, revealed that Germany had begun to fortify Heligoland, which I believe is a little island somewhere off the coast of Denmark here or something. Or like Holstein area. Anyway, this reporting that it was fortifying Heligoland contradicted its earlier denial on July 13th. The matter came up again in the House of Commons over in London, where Foreign Secretary Anthony Eden expressed the government's feeling that, quote, individual matters of this kind, though they cannot pass unobserved, should not be raised at a moment and in a manner which might react unfavorably, end quote, on negotiations underway for a new European peace settlement, which the League of Nations was involved with at this time. Then there were some National Socialist demonstrations in Austria during one of the Olympic parties, and the people protesting, demonstrating there were rooting for an Anschluss with Germany, and about 100 of them were arrested. That's it for the facts today. Let's have a good look at the front here. Looks like the nationalists are pushing, mostly, on the offense. Almost everywhere, yeah, definitely. Looks like they're gonna be able to walk right in there as well. That's interesting. Let's look at the airplanes again. Okay, so now we have enemy airplanes. Right, so let's send one of our fighter wings over here. We may want to move him to this other airport. One of them. The other one can stay there. And cover this thing. Air superiority. And these others are on their way. Maybe they'll arrive today even. We should be very superior over here. And with 100 fighters over here, we should be able to dominate the 31 enemy fighters here. So that's good. I don't think we'll actually arrive today. But we do have green air now over here. And once our other 100 fighters are in the air over here, we should have green air there as well. Yeah, 1 more hour. So I guess we'll have to deal with that tomorrow. Also, I completely forgot, but it's time to hire another political advisor. And in this case, it's going to be... Where are you? Hey, wait. Were we not able to get the... Martin Bormann, the silent workhorse? Yeah, we still need more political power somehow. I thought he was cheaper for some reason. But yeah, it looks like we are not able to do that yet. Oh well. On the 30th of July 1936, 12 Italian bomber planes, their markings and numbers painted over, took off from Sardinia, heading for Spanish Morocco, where they were set to join the nationalist side under the banner of the Spanish Legion. 9 airplanes completed the flight, but 1 crashed at sea and 2 were forced down on the French side of the Moroccan border. Italian military markings still visible under the fresh paint, as well as documentation that French authorities found aboard the planes, exposed the Italian scheme. The next day, newspapers around the world published the revelation that Italy was providing military assistance to the Spanish nationalists. 2 days before the Summer Olympics were set to start in Berlin, Ernest L. Janke of the United States became the first person ever expelled from the International Olympic Committee. He was removed for his outspoken position to holding the Olympics in Germany. The historical film Mary of Scotland, starring Katharine Hepburn, premiered at Radio City Music Hall in New York City. The German fellowship, I guess would be the translation, in Vienna is turned into an embassy, and Frans von Papen is named ambassador. And Frans von Papen is quite an important figure in Third Reich history, as he was Reichskanzler of Germany in 1932 and Vice-Chancellor under Adolf Hitler in 1933 and 1934. And finally, the average temperature in Berlin on this day was 16.8 degrees, and in-game it's actually 22. So it does seem like the weather in the game is not entirely historical. Anyway, Our airplanes are about to arrive over here. I think, yep, there we go. So let's send them into this area and have them do air superiority. Very good. We are now consuming 171 units of fuel every day. 172. Whilst we are producing 629, so we can do this forever. Air turned green. We have green air all over Spain, just in the Mediterranean here. We have red air because of 14 active enemy bombers, but I don't think the nationalists have a fleet to speak of. Actually, they do have some boats. Well, we only have 2 air wings, so I prefer having superiority on land, actually. Anyway, let's see if we can see people's focuses yet. Yeah, we can now. Okay, so they went for form the Popular Front and reform labor laws. They began rearmament for some military factories. That's pretty good for them. What about the UK? What did they do? Reinforce the Empire, service overseas, and limited rearmament. Okay. Wonder which one they are doing right now. Can I see that? No. I can only see which ones they have completed. Alright. Oh, but in Poland we can see everything. Okay, interesting. Tomorrow is the final day of July, and the day after, not only do our volunteers arrive, but we will also have a State of the Nation, as we always do on the 1st of the month. See you in the next one. On the 31st of July 1936, the average temperature in Berlin was 17.6 degrees. In game, it's only 13 degrees. That is not accurate at all. Then the International Olympic Committee awarded the 1940 Summer Olympics to Tokyo. Seems they have a preference for fascist-leaning countries here. President Roosevelt made his first visit to Canada in an official capacity and met with Governor General John Buchan in Quebec City. Then the French pilot, what's his name, André Yapy, flew from Paris to Algiers in 5 hours and 3 minutes in a Caudron Simon, an airplane. The way back was 5 hours and 48 minutes. Ooh, I dropped something. It's all good. Yeah, that was it for the facts today. Let's return to rolling the time. Let's see if the air is still all okay. Yep, green air across the board. The front is not really moving yet. Maybe this guy... Maybe he will arrive. No, I don't think he will arrive today. Maybe. We'll see. Could be good if they already pinch a little bit of land here in the north, because that's what I usually do in the Spanish Civil War, is kill the northern front first. Although, in this run I'm not really focusing on winning it quickly, but more on just gathering a lot of XP. So yeah, we'll have to see how that goes. Let's look at our logistics for a bit. Almost 1,000 guns, almost 200 tanks. They're all the old tanks that we're stockpiling. Not bad, not bad. And it looks like we did take a tile here, so that's nice. Although they are under attack. And our divisions have arrived. That's great. This guy is still en route from previous command and will not be able to use abilities or give positive buffs for another 10 days. But that's not great. We have unassigned divisions over here. Ooh. Looks like we finished training one. Let's send him to Poland 1. That's good. Then, is there any other recruitment we want to be doing? Probably want to add another unit here, right? Yeah. Alright, they already have everything they need. Great. Let's add another one. Can start training very slowly. Tomorrow we will think about where we're moving these guys. If you have any advice, feel free to let me know. I might send them both to one of these fronts, or I might split them up. Could be good to send them to a mountainous area, maybe over here, where they can use their mountaineer status to their maximum advantage. Anyway, we will see on the morrow.